already started! Dr. Nefarious must be around here somewhere. You sure everything's okay, Clank? Maybe Al should take a look at your circuitry.
How do you like my special creation, Clank? I call him Clunk. Your dopey friend seems to be quite fond of him. Say, maybe they'll change your show to Secret Agent Clunk! Did you hear that, Lawrence?
You put the wit in twit, sir.
Yes, I do, don't I? Today, you will witness the dawning of a new era. For years, I plotted in secret, suffering endless disappointments. But soon, it will all be worthwhile.
You will never succeed. Ratchet will put an end to your madness.
The only ending in Ratchet's future is the end of his own life. And you will have a front row seat. Lawrence. Time to unveil the true future of this galaxy. The future I have chosen!
Oh, sorry. Did you say something, sir?
The activation device! Now! Behold the final chapter of this galaxy's destiny. The Age of Robots! You are my robot lover. Make my spark plugs go zap, zap, zap with your love. Lawrence!
Oh, dear. That was your audition for Galactic Idol, wasn't it? My mistake, sir. Dreadfully sorry. By all means, sir. Carry on.
Nitro Eruptor has a wider blast radius and simultaneously launches a volley of energy missiles with each shot. Mega turrets fire guided missiles that chase enemies down and strike them with deadly force.
Clank. It's Dr. Nefarious. And that butler guy. And they've got Clank. They're, holding you prisoner. How about that? I guess I should be feeling pretty stupid right now. I don't suppose there's any chance he's the evil Clank. Yeah, didn't think so.
I've been laughing so hard today, my sides ache. I must admit, Ratchet, you've proven to be a far more worthy adversary than that imbecile Quark. Alas, I have a galaxy to conquer, so our game must end here. It's a shame you won't live long enough to see the rest of your kind exterminated. Well, you get the idea.
I am sorry, Ratchet. This is all my fault.
Knock it off, Clank. Nefarious did this, and he is gonna pay for it. For Metropolis and for what he did to Quark and Skid. You and I are gonna make sure of that. Come on, let's get off this planet before we end up dead. Or worse.
I can't believe it. That thing just turned the whole city into robots, even the Tyrannoids. You've got to stop Nefarious before he can use it again.
Lords have placed explosive charges all over the city. You'll need... the hover ship to reach them all in time. Sarge, you think you can pick up the pace a bit? Some of the other guys are getting a little nervous. never doubted you for a second, Sarge. Good work. I just remembered I have the did.
You know the drill, Sarge. Noids are everywhere, and we're getting our butts kicked.
They're coming from the tower. Across the bridge! Saving our kids is gonna be a full-time job, Sarge. One of these days we'll pay you back, man.
The Noids are holed up in 4 towers. You'll need a hover ship to get up there and flush them out. Back in '62, when I killed a king amoeboid with my bare hands. I heard the amoeboid swallowed you, sir. I heard you were AWOL until you turned up a week later floating in a toilet on planet Barrier. Shut your trap, H-22. You weren't there, you don't know nothing about it. Sir, I heard the same story. Only, I heard it was more like 2 weeks.
All units maintain radio silence.
city is secured. Prepare to move out. We're taking a beating from those dropships, requesting immediate air support. Sarge! Nice shot! Just one more to go. Sarge! The Noids will be getting desperate now. Be ready for anything. Here they come! Get to the turret! Blast those ships out of the sky! Lock and load! Incoming! Roger that! The Noids are throwing everything they got at us. I surrender! Fire at wheel! Roger. This is the last wave, Sarge. Don't give those pus buckets an inch! Here they come! Get to the turret! Blast those ships out of the sky! Lock and load! Incoming! Roger that! The Noids are throwing everything they got at us. I surrender! Fire at wheel! Roger. This is the last wave, Sarge. Don't give those pus buckets an inch! Kick those Noids clear out of the city. Thanks, Sarge. Couldn't have done it without you. Thanks again, Sarge. Me and the guys wanted to get you something to say thanks for saving our butts all over the galaxy. Everybody chipped in. We got you this map-o-matic.
Oh, you guys are the best.
A map-o-matic reveals secret areas on your world map. The secret areas are marked as green.
Just hours ago, bio-obliterators devastated Metropolis. The devices have since disappeared and their current location is unknown. Galactic citizens are in a state of hysteria, reacting to news that Dr. Nefarious is planning identical attacks across the galaxy. We're live from planet Marcadia with the Galactic President. Mr. President, how will the attack on Metropolis affect your chances for re-election this fall?
I'm glad you asked, Darla. Our demographic research indicates that robots will make up 100% of the galactic population by this time next week. Now, of course, that's great news for my re-election campaign because, as you know, I'm half robot myself.
I don't believe this. Everyone's acting like Nefarious has already won.
Maybe he has. If we don't find those bio-obliterators soon, we're all gonna be robots. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Wait a second. Before the Star Cruiser blew up, didn't Quark say he was trying to find something?
Yeah. It's a long shot, but I guess it's worth a try. The cruiser went down on planet Zeldrin. We'll go check out the crash site. Maybe we can find what Quark was looking for.
Excuse me, could somebody make sure that there's coffee brewing in the cafeteria? I'm very disappointed.
It's an escape pod. It must have come from the Star Cruiser. And look! Footprints! Someone else made it off that ship alive.
We must have just missed them. This pocket crotchetizer is still warm.
Ew.
A call was recently made using the pod's emergency communicator. There is a recording.
Supernova taxi.
I need a cab to come get me right away.
Whoa, this must be my lucky day. So where can I pick you up, sweet cheeks?
I'm on planet Zeldrin. Just look for the gigantic wrecked Star Cruiser. You can't miss it.
Wrecked Star Cruiser, huh? Well, you sound like a girl who knows how to party. What say you and me go to the cyber disco later on?
Watch it, buddy. I mean, don't get fresh with me.
Well, sorry, lady. I couldn't help myself. I mean, a woman like you in a dress like that.
Oh, it's just something I threw together.
So where you headed?
I'll tell you that when you get here. And if you keep this quiet, there's another 5 bolts in it for you. Oh, one more thing. You happen to have a spare charge pack for this thing.
P20 crotchetizer, huh? This gets better every second.
I should have known.
What? That Quark had a sister?
Huh? No, that he's still alive. That was Quark.
Oh. But why did he not report back to the Phoenix?
Because he wants us to think he's dead. I don't like it, Clank. Until we know what Quark is up to, we should keep this quiet. If the Q-Force finds out that Quark ran out on us, they might lose hope.
I understand. I do not like it, but I understand.
Hey, what's he got there?
It is a data disk. Quark must have taken it from the Star Cruiser.
That must be what he went back for. Let's get back to the Phoenix and decode it.
This weapon upgrade features a lock-on mod. To lock on to enemies, press and hold L2 and R2.
Sarge. We were wondering if maybe you wanted to come hang out with us on planet Iridium. It is H22's birthday. We're having a party.
I don't know. Sounds more like a battle than a party.
I we wouldn't go for it!
You guys just hang in there. I'll be there as soon as I can.
You got here just in time, Sarge. Looks like the Noids are getting ready to attack through those tunnels. Incoming! Release those Tyrannoids! Mission accomplished. It's a good thing the Rangers were here to pull your tail out of the fire, hey, Sarge? Sarge, we got Noids all over the place. We need backup. I don't want to die. Are more coordinated than we've seen before. Maybe up against something new here. Saucers! meantime, we're falling back to base to regroup. Looks like you're going solo on this mission, Sarge. Yeah, the squad's got a mandatory aerobics class we can't miss. Anyway, give those four-eyed scum sacks a whooping for us. Looks like you're going solo on this mission, Sarge. Yeah, the squad's got a mandatory aerobics class we can't miss. Anyway, give those four-eyed scum sacks a whooping for us. Battle of Hamachi Flats back in 23, when I took on an army of ghost pirate robots with nothing but a quack array and a half-charged crotchetizer. Is that why some of the older guys call you cabin boy, sir? All units maintain radio silence. That must have been a real feather in your cap, Chief.
The quantum whip emits waves of quantum energy that slice through enemies.
Keep talking, J31. We'll see how you like scrub duty for the next 6 weeks. Mission accomplished. All Rangers regroup and get ready to take back the valley. Sarge, we need to activate those turrets to create a defensive perimeter around the valley. We should stick around here and guard this turret. You know, in case the Noids try anything sneaky. You can handle the rest yourself. Sarge. You don't need any help, do you? Sorry. Break it up. I'll call back later. victory for the Rangers! Hey, maybe you should try pulling your own weight next time, Sarge. We got the Noids on the run. If somebody could push through those tunnels, we could launch a direct assault on the enemy base. There's a room full of Noids up ahead, Sarge. You go in and clear them out while I cover the rear. Incoming saucers! Take cover! The Noids are coming over the bridge! We've got the Noids on the run! If somebody could push through those tunnels, we could launch a direct assault on the enemy base. There's a room full of Noids up ahead, Sarge. You go in and clear them out while I cover the rear. Incoming saucers! Take cover! The Noids are coming over the bridge! Ship blocking the tunnel exit! The enemy base is wide open. Time to finish the job. Outpost X-12 has been secured. Hey, Sarge, over here!
What the?
Pretty cool, huh? It's called a warp pad. Great for running away. Here, I got an extra one.
Hey Al, what's up?
Let's see. The neural matrix of this autonomous simulacrum retains an imprint of the template's original psyche embedded at its core level.
You lost me after, let's see.
He means it may be possible to reverse the process.
Dude. What a trip.
Cool, I guess. Al, we recovered a data disk from Nefarious's cruiser. Can you decode it?
Of course. Yes. Ooh. Omega-class asymmetric encryption. Finally, a challenge worthy of my skills. Oh, by the way, we found something interesting in Quark's quarters.
Hey, if it's another crotchetizer, I don't even want to...
It is a Quark vid comic. Specifically, it is episode 5 of the Dr. Nefarious series. But as everyone knows, only 4 issues were ever published. Not even my pals in the Quark Cadets fan club have ever heard of this issue. And those guys are real geeks, if you know what I mean.
I sure do. Thanks, Al. We'll check it out.
This is the true story that Captain Quark hoped you would never see. The unauthorized, uncensored, and utterly unbelievable missing chapter of the Quark comic series, Viewer discretion is advised.
Just a word of advice, Nefarious. Quit while you're ahead.
And so, Quark believed that the threat posed to the galaxy had been ended forever. But he was dead wrong.
Bottoms up.
Somebody say something.
What took you so long?
I was picking out some new curtains for the torture chamber. They're crushed velvet with a gold lame trim. Oh, I think they really add life to the space.
Never mind that now. Grab Quark and let's get out of here.
Of course, sir.
Oh, Quark. I've never met a man like you. After you, I'll be ruined for other men.
That's what they all say.
Where am I?
You're in my secret prison, awaiting the most ingenious and depraved punishment I can possibly imagine. Come, Lawrence. It's time for my massage.
Oh, goody.
Using his antenna as a lockpick, Quark eventually managed to open the door to his cell.
Almost got it.
But his escape did not go unnoticed.
Uh-oh.
Look, he's getting away! Do something, Lawrence!
Perhaps we should flood the vicinity with boiling acid.
Oh, I like the way you think, Lawrence. Can we do that? Make it
After his narrow escape from the clutches of Dr. Nefarious, Quark dropped out of the public eye. Truth is, Quark was holed up in his secret hideout on the Thran asteroid, terrified that Dr. Nefarious would make good on his promise of revenge. When Nefarious didn't resurface, Quark assumed he was gone forever and returned to his career as a high-profile celebrity superhero. But the galaxy had not seen the last of Dr. Nefarious.
Ouch! What do you think you're doing, you oaf?
Do hold still, sir. This is a very delicate procedure. There, that should do the trick. Go ahead, take her for a spin.
What's going on? Where are my arms? Whose butt is this?
Oh, my mistake, sir. Dreadfully sorry.
Janice.
Oh, Lance.
Oh my. We will have to get that fixed. One of these days.
I should have known Quark was full of it.
But why would Quark lie to us?
Dude, Quark is bogus, bogus, bogus.
You can ask him yourself when we see him. According to this vid comic, Quark has a secret hideout in the Thran asteroid belt. I've got a hunch he's there right now.
He says he wants to come with us.
I don't think that... Oh, wait a minute. You speak monkey?
Oh, just enough to get by.
Now what?
He says you have ears like a Florana dung beaver.
Yeah, hilarious. Let's see if he's still laughing when he finds out his pal Quark is working with Nefarious.
Major bogus.
Surely Quark would never...
He teamed up with Drek, didn't he? And I know I don't have to remind you about that protopet business. Who knows what he's capable of?
Quack.
Hold circle to target multiple enemies with the spitting Hydra. Release circle to fire.
Attention all crew members! You are in...
Hey, kid, the bouncer just went on sale. If you get here fast, I'll throw in a 10% smart shopper discount. Looks like you two got connections in high places.
Lawn Ninja defense system activated.
This is a warp.
Feel the power of the
Weapon upgrade features a lock-on mod. To lock on to enemies, press and hold L2 and R2.
Hey, watch it, buddy.
Hey, little buddy. How'd you find me here?
We found your secret vid comic, Quark.
Oh, that. Well, I don't expect you to understand. You'll probably look at me and think, I'd give anything for a body like that. For just one drop of his raw animal magnetism, one iota of his impeccable...
Can we just skip to the end, please?
Let's see, where was I? Sexy, charming, brilliant, iron, hard, abs. Ah, yes, but despite my outward appearance of utter perfection, well,
Deep inside, you're a cowardly wuss?
No, not exactly. When I escaped from that star cruiser, cheating death by mere nanoseconds, I suddenly realized something very important. I could have died! Me, Captain Quark! Imagine an entire galaxy with no more me. And for what cause? So, a few trillion people get turned into robots. Who am I to say who should or shouldn't be turned into a robot?
You're pathetic, Quark. I can't believe I once looked up to you. Let's go, Clank.
The people of this galaxy need you, Quark. They believe in you. You can give them hope. You have a chance to redeem yourself and become the hero you have always wanted to be.